Morning, folks. It's the 20th of December. We are Signal Centre Talking Ball. I'm Joe Neighbour, joined by Steve O'Hare. Morning, Steve.
Morning, mate.
Hope you had a good weekend. You all okay?
Yeah, not bad. Not bad weekend.
Good. What do you think about football yesterday? Should you have won?
No, you know what? It didn't feel like we should have won, really. I think
Don't say
Spurs had.
that. Don't give Spurs any credit on this show.
I'm not giving them. They had more. They sort of had some really sort of like good chances. There should have been. Yeah, we should have had Kane sent off. Should have had a penalty, but then our second goal shouldn't have counted. Yeah, so it was. I was pleased with the draw with 50. Well, after they scored the second, I thought this is it. We're gonna sort of like get beat here.
Kane's was
Um,
definitely a sending off. You know,
oh,
if you're giving the Robertson one, then you have to give that. And the penalty when Jota got wiped out, just
I
looked like a
know.
penalty to me.
I know you can't say shoulder barge for that. It's
No,
just
he just
like
wiped him out from behind.
I know what the ref's saying. He sort of invited him in. Uh, so yeah, it's sort of like, but it's still he's doesn't matter if he's invited him in. He's fucking opened the front door, gone through the back door, and thrown him out of the garden.
Yeah.
So yeah, overall, I think probably a fair result. To be honest,
Okay.
can't moan about it.
Fair enough.
But yeah, so Man City look like they're really. I know, sort of like Arsenal are doing their stealth approach, but I don't think anyone's going to sort of keep up with Man City this year.
No, it doesn't look like it. Chelsea dropped points as well, didn't they?
Yeah, they had a draw. They wanted the game called off against Wolves, which I'm not surprised because Wolves are a tough team to play.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think all the COVID stuff, all the infections. I'm sure we're going to talk about that. Is impacting. But you know, I think the thing to still look at is this Omicron is not even a serious infection. It's like ridiculous. It's giving positive results, but it's like not even a serious infection. And most people in hospital have been double jabbed. So
That's a
you know
concern.
it's sort of like yeah.
Have you had your boost yet? You haven't, have you?
No, I'm not. I don't think I'm going to have it now.
Okay. Careful. Just on the vaccine front, I don't want to go too much about football, but I saw some stats over the weekend that 68% of the Premier League players were vaccinated, double
Yeah,
vaccinated, which is very low compared to other leagues. I think La Liga and Serie A, there was like 98, 97%, something like that.
yeah,
And they had no fixtures called off this weekend.
yeah. It's funny, isn't it? It's it seems to have sort of backfired into some respects. And yeah, I mean, I don't know if you're a sort of like athlete at the top of your game, and you sort of like see this COVID as like really only impacting on people with poor health, well, mainly impacting on people with poor health. Then uh, I don't know. I think footballers think they're a bit invincible anyway, don't they? But yeah, a bit of a
I
weird
also
one.
think they're role models, though, aren't they? You know, if the messages get it done, then maybe they should be stepping up and showing people they're doing it in order
Yeah,
to encourage others.
but there's the other side of the case is a lot of people, a lot more people, and a lot of doctors saying don't get it done. So you know,
Are they?
yeah, there
Doctors saying
is.
don't get it done.
In South Africa, the woman that sort of like raised the Omicron alert, she's like saying it's just a mild case of like flu. It's like just because it's getting picked up as a COVID. She said it's ridiculous that people are panicking about it. And you know,
Okay.
there is the non-vaxxers out there who are sort of like saying, you know, that there's a lot of people, you know, dying of these heart issues that aren't getting covered in the news. Like the sort of like in London at the weekend, there was a huge 50,000 people rally. That doesn't get
Yep.
covered in the news as well.
No.
Or it does. But it sort of sneaks out.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I did see that.
So yeah, now
Um,
could we be sitting here in a year's time saying, "Oh, I can't believe we all got vaccinated. What did we do?"
no, I don't think so. I hope not.
I hope not.
Anyway, going on from that, Europe's biggest countries are weighing more curbs to fight the surging COVID-19 infections. There is the prospect of further lockdowns, but it's seen unlikely, particularly in the US. We're talking about new lockdowns in the Netherlands, travel restrictions being targeted at several countries, at the UK as well. They're making it very difficult. I think France put a travel ban on over the weekend. Europe faces a critical week of decisions that could disrupt Christmas and the New Year holidays. Also in the US, President Biden is planning to warn the nation on Tuesday of the perils of remaining unvaccinated. Um, he's also facing a few issues with trying to get through his $2 trillion package as well. The White House and the Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer now must determine whether they can salvage some of the tax and spending bill to address the demands while maintaining support of the rest of the fractious Democratic caucus. So, yeah, looking I think that's weighing heavily on the markets today. We haven't even mentioned them yet, but a lot of markets down over 2% at the moment, with a lot of the US indices just sort of shy of that, which we'll come on to soon. There's also some issues with regards to energy in Europe, and they're bracing ourselves for further shortages there, as this week we've got freezing weather set to boost demand at a time supply just can't keep up. There's been issues with lack of wind, which means we're not getting much from the grids. And also, we've had severe nuclear outages in France. And to make matters worse, Russia has signalled its intentions to keep natural gas flows through a major transit route in Germany limited after capping supplies over the weekend. So we do have a few ongoing issues, and markets are off to a very volatile start. So, Steve, we've wasted 6 minutes chatting rubbish. Let's get stuck into some charts now. Where do you want to start today?
I'll start with the indices, and I'll sort of we've obviously got off to this, like you can see where we are on the daily chart. Markets have catapulted lower. FTSE obviously hasn't. Well, I mean, percentage-wise, it's probably performing best out of a bad bunch. 1.5% down, trading at previous resistance to support. Actually, that line doesn't really sort of like make sense to still have in there to me. We're just below the 50-day moving average, though. That comes in at 71.70, 71.20 trading. We can see how this is impacting on the weekly chart. We can see a hanging man sort of candle last week after a really positive week the week before, but reversing now. And we're now trading at the open of the previous 2 weeks ago, the previous candle, which comes in at 71.20. So trading there now, so potential for a break lower. Looking at the DAX, similar sort of price action. We made the higher high, reversed really aggressively. Looks like we've got some sort of ABC correction. Oh, wow, look at that. Can I take that, Joe?
No, sadly not, mate.
Oh, that's a joke. I said that I want to run it over the weekend.
Okay, that was from last week, though. It was like Thursday. It wasn't even
Oh,
Friday's trade,
maybe,
was it?
I don't know.
But
But yeah, so daily charts on the DAX off to a horrendous start as well, and looking to continue. If this negative weakness sentiment continues, then we should see this really key level below 14,827. We're not very far away, with just about 300 points away from that, testing that. Now, we wouldn't have thought that around about a month ago. Dow Jones reversed as well, had a sort of like the move up into last week. Obviously, Friday's price action was negative, and the 50-day moving average, we've smashed through it this morning. So again, looking to sort of like focus on lower levels, really, just sort of like for the start of this week. There's not really much to sort of like say this. We talked about this potential double top, I think, on the Dow, and obviously that we're well on our way to the measured move target of this double top. The tech sector had a really decent rally, obviously, last Wednesday, and that topped out at previous swing highs, 16,460, and then we've obviously we can see this, like this was the Fed meeting, and then the sort of reaction the next day, and that's remained under pressure, although it did manage to sort of close above the support line at 15,735. But overnight we've moved lower, and we're challenging the 15,540 level at the moment, which is the support from the start of the month. But I think if we do get a break there, Joe, it sort of like opens up a bit of a vacuum move all the way down towards 15,000. So potentially, I've said this to you last week, I think it was off air, that I've got a feeling we're going to see some limit down moves at some point over the Christmas holiday. Merry Christmas, everyone. Feel like a bit like the Grinch, but you know, I've been wrong before once. The S&P's obviously under pressure again. Again, the 4750 area, which we saw resistance at back on the 22nd of November, again a month ago. That stalled. We formed an evening doji star formation on the 4-hour chart and reversed aggressively lower. You could say that's a double top as well, and on the way to the measured move target, which would be round about the 4,500 level. So negative for S&Ps. If we do manage to break below the 4495, then again opens up a bit of a vacuum move, fast move lower. So all feels very negative to me on the indices. Cryptos, wouldn't be surprised if this is it's sort of about to break lower as well. I think this will follow the indices if we do get some additional follow through. 45,500 for me is the support level, not far away at the moment. Ethereum, that seems to hold up pretty well because obviously you've got all these NFTs and I think the NFTs are priced in Ethereum as well. So that seems to be allowing Ethereum to hold up as well as the others, although it is down 2.7%, whereas Bitcoin's only down 1%. So you might get the sort of the volume holding Bitcoin. But Ripple had a bit of a spike this morning. But it's stalled in front of resistance at 93. Cardano under pressure, and the support level coming in at 118 to 119 is the level really to watch there. Let's take a look at commodities because oil has been smashed over the weekend. Has managed to post a gap on the daily chart, but not on the weekly chart. So we had the Wednesday low 69.19, and we've got today's high 69.45. There is a little gap there from Friday's price action, but on a weekly chart that won't be there. So it can be one of those gaps that could get ignored for a while. Seems to have broken aggressively lower, $67 trading. Next support really for me comes in around about 62.23, so really under pressure on the WTI. Brent crude, similar sort of price action, although on the daily chart that has got a gap. So that could be a breakaway gap, which would make me even more nervous. And again, support coming in at 65.28, $5 lower. Natural gas seems to continue to not really want to break back above the previous support level at 403, under pressure at 3. Well, if we break below 360, then it again opens up a little bit more on the downside for that. Gold seems to be doing okay. We had the rally got up to 1815, which was the resistance level, which we talked about. 1834 above that, and 1875 should cap the move to the upside, I think, running into Christmas. However, it does feel quite positive this morning. It's just whether we get a little bit of a turnaround if these indices continue to get sold into, which it looks like they are. So you can see this 1815 level really need to clear 1815. That opens up 1834. On the downside, I think if we break back below the 1796 level, then we could easily revisit the lows that we saw last week around about 1755, 53.38. So yeah, that's about it from my side, Joe.
That's one, Steve. Thank you very much. Real mixed bag, as we've just gone through, and I think the gun to the head is going to be a bit of a challenge today.
Yeah.
Anyway, let's start off with dollar index. So really choppy stuff here. So last week we were talking about the idea of this breaking out of the pennant pattern that had formed. This triangle pattern that we've got in blue. We saw a push to the upside, then we saw a fairly swift rejection, bang in line with this resistance at 96.93. Then we saw a break to the downside in the pennant formation, and now we've seen that all reversed with a huge engulfing candle that was formed on Friday. So I don't know what to do with that, if I'm totally honest. It's not really respected any kind of technical levels or technical sort of patterns. I think we'd probably just discard that now, that pennant, and now we're looking for a break of this resistance up here, which is at 96.94. Still looking to target on the upside these levels at 61.8% fib at 97.72. But looks to be pretty rosy. And obviously, defensive demand for the dollar index, given that we are selling off in most riskier assets. The dollar index has sort of shone through, as it often does in times like this. So still looking pretty good. I mean, Euro's getting a bit of a boost today as well. We can see, that is higher across the board really today on against many currencies. This looks quite interesting. Euro CAD, we've seen a big breakdown here. Swift rally to the upside into this resistance level. So it remains to be seen whether it's got enough to get above that or whether that just be another opportunity to sell. Euro Swiss, that continues to move lower given the defensive characteristics of the Swiss franc. So that's holding much better off than the euro. Euro sterling still trading in this bearish channel. Bit of resistance here that it needs to overcome at 85.95 before we can maybe talk about a shift in the trend. Maybe we're actually forming a bit of an inverse head and shoulders here, actually. Just spotted on the intraday chart, sorry, daily chart this is. So maybe we've got a left shoulder here, up to the neckline, down to the head, another neckline, and a right shoulder. So a break here, and we could see quite a decent turnaround in this. So that may be one to watch. And obviously, to get above this big cluster of resistance here is going to take a lot of effort on the part of the bulls. So, you'd be looking for some decent volume there. And if we do get a nice breakout, then I think that could be a really nice one to watch over the coming weeks. We'll leave that there and see what happens. Euro yen, yeah, not really much going on. It seems to be sort of hovering around the support zone, but has had a couple of attempts at breaking down. Let's take a look at Euro USD. So in, I guess, contrast to what we just talked about in the dollar index, still trading in a bearish downtrend, as you can see, was forming a bit of a pennant, looked as though it was going to break to the upside and correct higher, but that's all been reversed, and now we've seen this break to the downside. Bit of a retest today, but ultimately it doesn't look good for Euro US dollar, and we're still targeting a move down to this 110.58 level, which is the measured move of this head and shoulders top pattern that we've been going on about for months. So that'd be quite nice to see it hit that kind of region, and that technical pattern would have worked out really nicely indeed. Let's take a look at cable. That rallied into this resistance level here at 133.53 in a corrective way, I suppose, but just attracted fresh selling. We saw all of those gains that were posted on the 16th of December wiped out on Friday, and we are heading towards this 38.2% fib level again, the yellow line, which so far has done a pretty good job, but it looks like it's going to get another going over very soon. Clearly, the overall trend remains quite bearish, so we could see that start to break down below those levels and start targeting this 50% fib level down here, and that obviously would suggest that we're going to see continued dollar strength. Aussie, what's that doing today? So really stalled into this, what we talked about last week, is this maybe being a large head and shoulders top pattern. So this being the left shoulder, this being the head, this being the right shoulder, this blue line being the neckline. So we saw a break lower, and now we've seen a retest into that zone, which has done a pretty good job. And now we are selling off again. So maybe that's what's going to play out there. We're going to see continued aversion of risk, and therefore people shunning, owning the Aussie dollars over US dollars. So yeah, quite interesting. That'll do. I think we've got to wrap things up pretty quickly, Steve, as we've got a call. But let's just go and have a quick look at the gun to the head trades from last week. I got 50 ticks out of the DAX, or 49 ticks out of the DAX, 0.75R. Unfortunately, you were stopped out of NASDAQ, but that has hurtled lower. She had a really tight stop on that one, so it could have been really nice, but wasn't to be on that occasion. Anything you fancy today, Steve?
Well, yeah, I fancy selling indices, but it feels a bit too little, too late.
That was a NASDAQ trade I did last week, by the way. And you had a similar one with DAX that went on to go and hit the target, and we did a CAC one that's sort of hurtling towards the target as well. But yeah, I mean, I don't know what we do today, Steve. If we're either going to have to call the low on the indices if we're going to get a trade out today, or we're going to have to continue selling it, and it's already down by quite a considerable amount. So what do we do?
Yeah, I mean, I've got no choice, mate. Oh, look, ATR band weekly just bounced off there. Yeah, there's lots of reasons to sort of try and catch this falling knife, but that's not really good trading strategy, and always seems to be the wrong thing to do. I feel sort of like a little bit like I need to go to Bitcoin to sort of, 46,000, nice round number. Let me sell it there just because I can. So 46,000. Let's keep a pretty tight stop on this. Oh, that's pretty tight, isn't it?
Wow. There wasn't even a stop there, was there?
No, there's not. No, isn't it amazing how you sort of like. Let's give it a little bit of room for a further move to the downside. Bring it up here. It just doesn't feel like I should be doing that. It's just rubbish, isn't it? Right, I'm going to ignore that one then. I'm going to go for gold. Right, if anything, gold has a small potential to, move to the upside if we do get this stock market sell-off continuing. Getting long at 1801 and a half. I'm going to have to stop at 1795 and a half, and my target all the way up at 1826 and a half, around about them levels. Sorry, 1825 and a half. That'll give me a 4-to-1 risk reward ratio on gold. Thinking about it's got to break the 1815 resistance, but let's see.
Okay, I'm going to take a look at NASDAQ and I'm going to try and call the bottom on this. So this is the hourly chart. Traded this last week, sold it at the top. It's pretty much hit the target. Well, has hit the target very nicely. But obviously we didn't get all of that because we cut the trades off at 9 p.m. So stop dwelling on that. Let's have a look. It's trading at the lower end of this range. Maybe a little bit of a hammer candle taking shape. I mean, it's only 12 minutes into the hour, so it's got to do a fair amount yet. But I'm just going to speculate on that turning around. Bit of bullish divergence on the RSI as well. So we're making higher lows on this. So let's go with a 70 tick target. Let's try and target the upper end of the range, shall we? 12.7R. All feels
Go on,
a bit
son.
crazy, but yeah, I'm calling this is the turning point on the indices today. They're going to only get better from here. Santa's going to start delivering presents to everyone, and this is where it starts. 12.7R.
Amazing. That's great technical reasoning behind that as well. Santa's gone onto
The technical
it.
reasoning, it's trading in a nice range, as you can see there. We've got some bullish divergence, so there is some sound technical reasoning behind it.
All right, missed that.
Yeah, but they are getting slaughtered this morning on the indices, so let's hope and pray on that one. 12.7i is a very rare occurrence, if it ever happens at all in trading.
Christmas
So
miracle.
yeah, it could be, couldn't it? Okay, right, nothing out on the calendar today, very quiet. We've got some earnings out from Nike in the US. I think that was the only big thing I saw of any interest today. So do be careful if you're trading today, because obviously we're off to a very volatile start. But Steve and I will be back tomorrow morning. And yeah, until then, trade safe.
Yeah, cheers.
Bye-bye.